all of this started with my hunter on NA. At first, I didn't want to level a hunter on NA. In fact, I didn't want to level on NA again because I am sick and tired of Shadowlands leveling. Not because it's bad leveling, but because I've done it a million fucking times and I'm over the leveling experience. Specifically because on NA, I can't skip the campaign. I have to do every quest right up until the end. But anyways, I did it and now I'm actually very happy that I did it. So thank you so much to chat for forcing me to do so. There's a number of things that started standing out to me, a number of things that sort of popped out to me that I was legitimately... I don't want to say that I didn't see it the first time because that makes me look stupid, although there's every chance that that is true. I guess it just didn't click at first. I guess the small things that happened throughout the questing experience just didn't click until later on. The first thing that started to stand out to me is the Winter Queen and Autumnweald. One of the first things that sort of started to make me question actually happened 2 weeks ago, where someone spoke to me about a conversation that they had with the Mushroom dude. I can't remember his name now, but you guys know the guy that runs the Mushroom Network in Autumnweald. According to the Winter Queen and the Night Fae, the Winter Queen made Autumnweald. She is the one who developed it. She's the one who created it. However, according to Mushroom Dude, right, they were the first to discover it. He was there first. According to him, the Winter Queen started doing things there, but Autumnweald was there before she arrived. That was sort of the first thing that made me go, something doesn't quite fit here. Why are we getting conflicting stories? Why are we getting conflicting pieces of information? And then I started noticing a couple of other things that really didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Of all of the Eternal Ones, only one of them referred to Zuval as brother. And that's the Primus. The others call him monster, banished one, evil, never brother. Anyone has a different theory, like not theory here, actual evidence of any of the other Eternal Ones referring to Zuval as brother? Because from where I stand, it's only the Primus, and only once did the Primus refer to him as their brother. After that, he only ever referred to him as the Banished One. The Winter Queen calls him a monster, and she calls him the Banished One. Never does she refer to him as brother. Yeah, he does say our brother, but none of the others follow suit. Not a single one of the others follows suit. They don't call him brother. So that was like the first, or the second thing that really started to go, this is interesting. First of all, the Winter Queen claims that she made Autumnweald, and yet we sort of get from the Mushroom guy, Marasmus, that no, you really didn't, right? You really didn't make Autumnweald. You arrive there. There's also the story after you choose the Night Fae Covenant. You walk with Moonberry, Lady Moonberry. You walk up into the heart of the forest, and then she shows you this little scene of the first mortal soul that arrived at the gates of Autumnweald, and the Winter Queen was there to meet him, and she sort of told him, "You're neither spirit nor fae. What are you doing here?" And the soul replies to her, I was sent here." And the Winter Queen says, "In that case, you're welcome to stay and tend to the soul's ear." So all of this is just a little bit weird to me, that the Winter Queen claims that she made the place, but yet it appears as if she actually took over from something else. There may have been something there before her. The next thing that sort of started to stand out to me, which again, all of this is just things that's standing out to me, that sticks out, and that sort of bothers me, right? The Drust. What do we actually know about the Drust? If you think about it, we know they were cursed. We know that they were druids once, and that for some reason they were cursed. Their magic now is death druidism, right? They were then banished to Throsh. Now, their curse is actually to live in between life and death. They are neither alive nor are they dead, and they cannot pass over to either side. They're sort of stuck in this limbo forever. But why? Right? Why is the Drust? Why was the Drust punished? What did the Drust do wrong? Is there perhaps a link between the Drust and Zuval? Could it be that the Drust actually worked with Zuval, and this is the reason that they were banished? When he was banished, they were cursed too, for their involvement in his plotting and his schemes. Now remember, we still don't know really what Zuval did. We just know that it was horrific, something absolutely terrible, right? What it is, we don't know. Now, why do the Drust now attack Autumnweald? They're not attacking anywhere else, by the way. The only place that they're attacking is Autumnweald. Why? The Fae that wear the masks call them master. Don the mask. It's Naya. She confronts one of the masked hunters on the bridge. I don't know if you guys remember exactly what I'm talking about. When you're running out of, is it Turn and Knock? No, it's not Turn and Knock. The first big tree that you run into Autumnweald. What's that? What's that first big zone called? Come on, chat. Someone in fucking chat needs to remember. After that, you go to Hibernal Hollow. Once the Turn of All. Thank you so much. Yes, Turn of All, right? When you're running, as you would run to Turn of All the very first time, at some point you run back up with Naya, right, to go help. So as you're running up, you get to the bridge, and on this bridge, you find Naya confronting one of her brothers, so to speak, right? And that brother tells her that don the mask, serve the masters. Now, it could be that he's just referring to them as masters because he is now wearing the mask and he has been, shall we say, brainwashed. But let's put two and two together, and I guess this is why we can call this a theory, because why not? Let's put two and two together. Chat, if you were to put two and two together, what would you say is going on here? If you take the information about the Winter Queen not actually making Autumnweald, right? So the Winter Queen isn't actually the one who made Autumnweald. You take the fact that the Drust attacked Autumnweald as soon as Autumnweald's defenses were lowered, I guess you could say, and they were cursed. What would you think transpired there? I don't want reasonable, Namufu. I want what instinctively stands out to you. What do you instinctively think happens there? It was coordinated. Ilune giving Winter Queen that land. Yo, Aquilon, love your work. First time catching you live. Keep them coming, man. Robert, thank you very much. Really appreciate that, bro. Someone up there said the Winter Queen took over and banished them. That would be my theory as well. My theory would be that the Drust and their master perhaps controlled Autumnweald at the start. It was their realm to begin with, and they worked with Zuval. After the banishment of Zuval, they were replaced by the Winter Queen. In other words, taking over, so to speak, and ensuring that the cycle will always continue, which is what everyone now believes. The cycle always continues, and we've done videos on this before. I've made it clear to you guys that there's a lot of things that I don't like about this, about the system of the Shadowlands. The fact that almost nothing ever dies. The fact that everything continuously lives and has a rebirth at some point. The system, it's not the death that you would think you deserve, right? You're just part of another machine that goes on living, that goes on grinding away soul after soul after soul. So in this instance, that does sort of bother me, and that is definitely something that I think we could be looking at in the future, and keep that in the back, keep that in the safe, guys, in our lore safe. Put that in the safe and sort of just wait, right? Because we don't have any information on it right now, but maybe we will get information later down the road. All right, so all of these things fit together, in my opinion, quite well. Let's move on. Now, in Maldraxxus, we don't get that much. In Bastion, they're sort of struggling with their own Forsworn, and we've discussed that to infinity and beyond. There's no point in rehashing that. Next up, we come to Revendreth. And again, this is where things got really interesting. As you're helping Denathrius at the beginning, right? You're helping Denathrius, you think you're doing the right thing, you're trying to stomp out the rebellion. There's one point right towards the end where you've just captured the accuser. You take the accuser to Denathrius, and Denathrius is now dishing out his punishment. And the accuser laughs at him. She tells him that even that he has gone against the will of Revendreth. And he says, I am Revendreth. Her response to him doesn't seem as if she believes that. As if she truly believes that. She tells him that he was once the Lord of Dread. She tells him, you were once the Lord of Dread. Even your punishments shows your complacency. Then, of course, you go through the entire quest campaign and you eventually get to the point where Denathrius is speaking about Zuval. He refers to him by one name in that entire cutscene. Our friend is getting impatient. Not my brother, not our brothers, our friend is getting impatient. That sort of immediately made me worry a little bit. Well, not worry. Worry is the wrong word. It made me question why. If this really was their brother, why my friend? And then things get actually far weirder. Far weirder. Let's just quickly go to... Let's go to cinematics, because why wouldn't we fucking go to cinematics, right? We'll watch the whole cinematics, because it's a good fucking cinematic, right? But it's just the talking bit that I think is really important. Just before this, by the way, Ramonia and Denathrius was having an actual conversation with one another. So anyone that sort of argued that, you know, Ramonia is an actual person. Ramonia and Denathrius, moments before the cinematic, they're actually having a conversation, and Ramonia still says, perhaps I'll serve his head on a plate. Something to that effect. She tells him, she laughs sort of with Denathrius, and she tells him that she will serve Ranathal's head on a plate for him. So, Ramonia 100% has to be a soul from somewhere. She was once alive. Because she is 100% sentient.
This was your valiant last stand. For so very long, you've punished arrogant souls. But instead of learning from their suffering, you've become one of them.
This bothers me. He's instead of learning from them, you have become one of them. It bothers me because Ranafal thinks Denathrius is the arrogant one, right? But Denathrius considers Ranathal the arrogant one. So, who is arrogant? Why does he believe Ranathal to be arrogant?
You just needed to obey.
I mean, you just needed to obey, but remember, he is obeying someone else. He's not obeying himself. He's not the one calling the shots here. Denathrius is obeying Zuval. He's doing what Zuval asked him.
How fortunate you are to witness the splendor of what is about to unfold. Every precious drop of anima, so painstakingly wrung from the tortured souls of lesser beings.
There's another part of this that really bothered me. And you'll see in the other cinematic that I have lined up with this discussion, in this cinematic, right? You'll see where this is said. But it appears as if Revendreth was the supplier of anima to the whole of the Shadowlands. So all of these other fucking, like, all of these other souls, all of these other realms, their job was never really to get anima from their charges. The people who were sent there, they kept their anima was used for something different. Revendreth was the supplier of anima to the whole, because they all say it, and this is where we're probably going to get into a little bit of speculation, sort of fortifying the idea that Denathrius is the one who brought down the Arbiter. Because, according to them, Denathrius is the one responsible for the drought. He started all of it, but we'll get into that in a bit.
Now paves the path for the Banished One to reclaim what was his.
He again refers to him, this is what I'm talking about. Again, he doesn't refer to him as brother. This is twice now that he spoke about Zuval. Neither time does he refer to him as brother. First time, our friend grows impatient. Second time, for the Banished One to reclaim what was his. I believe it's the Shadowlands that was his. It was the Shadowlands. It was his realm, and he is going to reclaim it. He wants back what was taken from him.
And once his liberation is secured, it shall be by his will that all is washed away. The only power that will emerge from this torrent of change is death. Death and those who shaped its victory.
This death, by the way, this death is capital D. The only power that will emerge from this torrent of change is death. Death and those who helped shape its victory. So in my opinion, Zuval is death. In my opinion, what Zuval wants to claim back, it's his. It's what was taken from him. He is the master of death. It was once his realms. And this was taken from him. And the point that I'm trying to make to you, there are two people in the Shadowlands that to me appear to need to be there. Like, belong there. The one was the Primus, right? The one was the Primus. The other is Zuval. All of the others does not appear to belong there. And funnily enough, it's only the Primus that calls Zuval brother. I'm talking about eternal ones. There's many people, like normal mortals, that belong in the Shadowlands because they're mortal, they died, they should be there. I don't even think the Nathrius, Badum, or Bandus. I don't know. The Nathrius definitely has the arrogance around him, but he does not appear to be of death. In fact, I would place him perhaps closer to chaos. Perhaps closer to the realms of chaos rather than to the realms of death. Yeah, I would place the Nathrius in the twisting nether. I wouldn't necessarily place him. The Primus is a being of death. You can see by his statues, he's a fucking skeleton. He's a being that belongs in the realms of death. And he is also coincidentally the only one that refers to the Nathrius or to Zuval as brother. The others call him a monster, they call him the banished one, but they never call him brother. Right? They never call him brother. Alright.
Someone will stop you, Denathrius. Even if I...
Do not speak. Observe. Remember this lesson.
Again, him not killing him there when he could have killed him, to me is also problematic. But watch this and now listen to what they have to say.
After the mortal and I have finished, we will convene with you there. With her voice have I spoken. As the Arbiter's voice, I heed the call of the Eternal Ones. How may I serve?
The Maw grows, surging with power. How did this come to pass?
The evil we believed forever bound.
Pay attention to how she refers to him. The evil we believed forever bound has conspired to distract and divide us. Just before this, by the way, the Winter Queen tells you how they made the Maw inescapable. Somehow they drew upon the power of the Heart of the Forest to render the Maw inescapable. So remember, we did a theory months ago at this point, where we were talking about the Maw and how the Maw may not have been inescapable at the time that Zuval ruled over it. It appears I was wrong there. They made the Maw, or I argued that the Maw was always inescapable, and they simply banished him to it. It does appear as if I was wrong there. They rendered the Maw inescapable, drawing upon the power of the Heart of the Forest. Right? The Winter Queen tells you that as you, it's in the first, just after the massive long fucking show that you put on for the Winter Queen. When you're standing at the Heart of the Forest, the Winter Queen explains to you why the Heart of the Forest is so important. And why the Heart of the Forest needs to survive, no matter what. But okay.
Evil we believed forever bound has conspired to distract and divide us. The Primus realized the truth, but his warning came too late. I fear he paid a grave price for this knowledge.
My question on the other side of this is, why are they so afraid of him? If they are all the same, if they're all eternal ones, if they're all titans, like, for example, the Titans of Order, why are they so afraid of Zuval? Is he not then just like them? Why was he so evil that they had to banish him forever. Well, brother, because to her he's dead, and whoever is within she despises. Mal, that is entirely possible, right? We could make the argument that Zuval is a prison for something far greater, and that is the evil that she's referring to, so she doesn't call him Zuval or her brother, because he isn't her brother. He's dead. He's been consumed by whatever either alliance he made, or by whatever is now within him. But that's not even what I want to show you guys here.
You speak for Revendreth. Where is your sire? Where is our brother, Denathrius?
They call Denathrius brother? Denathrius is their brother. Why don't they refer to Zuval in the same way? Why is he the evil, the betrayer, the banished one? Why is he not also referred to as brother? Now, of course, they don't know at this point yet that Denathrius is the one who betrayed them. Denathrius is the reason for them dying. But this lends more credence to my mind. I'm not saying this proves my theory, not at all. This theory that I have here is so far out there, I have trouble believing it. I'm just, I'm literally just pointing this out to you guys as things that's going through my mind at the moment to hopefully make you as fucking crazy as I am at the moment. But I do believe that Denathrius and Carestia and the Winter Queen, I believe that they are brothers and sisters. I believe that they are family. I just don't think that the Primus and Zuval is members of their family.
Where is your sire? Where is our brother, Denathrius?
My sire has betrayed us all. The drought was his doing. He stole the very lifeblood of our realms, starving his own people. And yours as well.
The drought was his doing. So we know this. Everyone has seen this. This is not some big, massive revelation. But here's my problem with it. The drought started because the Arbiter was brought low. Without the Arbiter, there is no souls that can venture into any of these other realms. That's why the drought started. This is how I made the connection that Revendreth was the one who supplied all of the Shadowlands with anima. These other realms, the souls flowing to them, I don't think gave them anima. I don't think the souls that these other realms accepted was meant for anima. You also get this while you're playing through the Nightfang or the Autumnweald campaign, when you're asking, what's the wolf? There's a blue wolf at one point where, you know, the tree guy is standing there and he's holding up a veil of stars, protecting against that fucking masked creature trying to kill them. It is Tazan. Yes, Archmage, thank you very much. It's Tazan. When you ask Tazan for his anima, he doesn't want to give it. He's like, no, why can't the tree do it? Right? He doesn't want to give up his anima, which should maybe tell us that anima is not something that they regularly give up. They don't have to give up anima because their anima comes from Revendreth. Revendreth is the supplier of anima, right?
When his lies were exposed, Denathrius unleashed his vast coffers of anima into the maw to fuel the might of his true master.
Again, his true master, not brother, not your brother, master. This is, by the way, not the only time he's called master. Denathrius himself refers to him as master. He serves him. Would you refer to your brother as such? Would you? Like, really? It's your brother. He wouldn't be your master. Maybe you'd help him, but he's not your master. So just something, if he was your boss, maybe, but even then, wouldn't really be your master, right? He would still be your brother. You just happen to work for him. They are clearly not peers. Nestabear, that's exactly the point I'm trying to make. They're not peers. They clearly don't see eye to eye. So that is the problem we have here. Zuval is the master of Denathrius, which by design then means that they are not the same. They are not brothers and sisters of one another.
Long ago, we stood as one to imprison that monster.
Now that seems a little bit emotional. The pause there to imprison that monster. That does seem a little bit emotional, right?
Oh, Master.
Long ago, we stood as one to imprison that monster. With the Primus gone and Denathrius a traitor, our pantheon has been broken.
Our pantheon has been broken. Now that last night when I've watched this cinematic a million times, and for some reason last night when she said our pantheon have been broken, I was like, whoa. Now that is interesting. What does not seem to belong in this picture?
And doom comes for the Shadowlands.
There is yet hope. This mortal saved me from the maw and revealed the Sire's treachery.
They aided my forest as well. Their kind has shown great potential. If focused, it could turn the tide in our favor.
Agreed. For the good of the Shadowlands, each mortal must choose a covenant.
And when our realms have regained their strength, we...
What does not belong in this picture? And I'm not talking about us there. Of course we don't belong there. But look at this screenshot effectively. The one thing that does not look like any of the others is this thing. We can see that that pedestal seems to be higher than the others, but this could just be because of the angle. But it does appear to be at the head of the table, right? This is at the head of the table. This is, for example, Aman'Thul. Where does Aman'Thul sit? He sits right in the middle, right? At the head of the table. He is the leader of the Pantheon. The Arbiter doesn't appear to belong there. Now, we get to some of those old God Whispers. 5 keys to open the way, 5 torches to light our path. 5 pillars now darkened, the flame they seek will open our way. The Pantheon of 5. Right? 1 will consume them all. That's another whisper that could very easily fit in here. The cunning ones serve... No. Yeah. 6 seats at the high table, 6 mouths hungering. 1 will devour them all. Now, this could very easily be this, because this would be the highest table in the land. They deal with far more power than any of the others, right? And then the cunning ones kneel before 6 masters but serve only 1. This could also be this, right? It could also be proof of this. The point I'm trying to make, the only point I'm trying to make here, is that this appears to be... There is definitely a sigil on there. Now, at first glance, when I looked at that mark on the pillar there, I thought to myself, maybe it's broken? Maybe it shows a broken pillar, as if because it's scarred, he can't show up there. Does that make sense? yeah, it might be sealed. It might also be the sigil of a sun, right? But to me, right, this does still appear, regardless of whether there's a rune or not, this does appear to be the head of the table. I mean, in every household across the world, right? Your dad always sat at the head of the table. Why? Because he's the head of the household. At least if you come from a traditional household. In my house, the only time my father wouldn't sit at the head of the house of the table is when we went to go visit my grandparents, and then my granddad would sit at the head of the table. In a CEO boardroom or in a boardroom, the CEO sits at the head of the table, right? That's the master. He's the guy that calls all the fucking shots. He's got the last say in everything. That's what this pillar, to me, signifies. The guy who's at the head of the table. The guy who is the leader of it all, if you will. So when Denathrius tells Renethal to claim what was his, can we truly then say the Shadowlands? Would you guys say that's right or wrong? If we made that the Arbiter doesn't have a pillar. And I've also said the Arbiter doesn't look as if she belongs there. The Arbiter looks as if she's been placed there after the fact. That Erebos was there even before his banishment? Adam, it's possible that that Erebos was there before his banishment. It is entirely possible. It might be possible if we are to merge some of our theories here, and I realize how ridiculous all of this sounds, guys. I'm not giving you an actual theory that I know for a fact. I'm giving you something that sparked in my mind last night. That's literally why I'm going through this, by the way. It sparked in my mind last night. As I was doing these quests, I was finishing up my Hunter on NA. I was just sitting here watching this and I was like, whoa. And I wanted to share these thoughts with you guys, but imagine if Zuval and his brothers and sisters, so let's imagine that they were all brothers and sisters at one point. They took over the Shadowlands from death. They removed death from the equation. They built this giant city in the middle of the of the River of Souls, to redirect the souls away from death. Now, one of their brothers, the leader of their pact, succumbs to the whispers, the promises of power from death. Carves runes onto his body and accepts death into himself, thereby becoming death. Perhaps that is why they call him monster and evil, because according to them, he is no longer their brother. Right? According to them, he's no longer their brother, because he is truly dead. He's given himself to death. He has become something else. This is why Denathrius does not refer to him as brother, why Denathrius serves him now, because he has become death. This is maybe why one somebody in the book Shadows Rising refers to him or tells Nathanos. He tells Nathanos, what the Lords of Death have given can so easily be taken away. He's talking specifically about Sylvanas and the power that Sylvanas has now. And he says, what the Lords of Death have given can just as easily be taken away. So Zuval may have become a Lord of Death, but was once like his brothers. He was once like the rest of them. But the allure of power, we know this because Sargeras had a very similar story, right? So they are clearly not uncorruptible. There's stories in the chronicles of how they never fall to corruption. Clearly not true. They can be corrupted. They can falter. They can change their minds. They're not completely one-track minded. The question is just to what end? Now, I believe that we're going to get closer to that truth in 9.1. And when I say closer, I mean significantly closer. I don't see where Blizzard could take this story next without answering a lot of those questions, right? Our next story most likely takes us either to Thros, or it takes us into Bastion. That's where I think our next story is sort of going to take us. And both of those realms will answer the question far more in depth. But there's one thing that I'm almost willing to take a bet on. Now, let's mark this down. Let's see what happens. But I believe that the Drust was once the servants of Zuval, and they were banished when he was banished. They served him. That is my belief at the moment. I just don't know why. They keep calling him monster. They keep calling him evil. And my question is, what could he possibly have done that made them feel this way? Pullman, that's another question that we don't have an answer to. We know that it's been eons. The Winter Queen tells us this at the end of the Ardenweald campaign. She says, eons ago, we drew upon the heart of the forest to render them more inescapable. So it's been a fucking long time. This isn't just last week, right? It wasn't just before we got to the Shadowlands that they got done with the banishment. This has been a while that he's been banished. To what end, I don't necessarily know, but... well, it's not that time doesn't matter. Remember, so... people really need to understand how time works in the Shadowlands. People really need to get a grasp of it. It's not that there is no time. There is time. Time exists. It's just not something they care about. And I've used this analogy before, and I'll use it again for anyone that doesn't yet grasp it. Imagine if tomorrow they came up with a drug that caused humans to live forever, right? So it gave us eternal life. Within the next 100 years, humans would most likely lose their watches, stop really looking at time. Why? Because the only reason time is important to us is because we have so little of it. When you have an eternity of it, it's no longer important. Why would you care if a minute or an hour or a day or a year passes when you have eternity ahead of you? It still passes, right? The sun still sets and still rises. 24 hours is still 24 hours. But it no longer matters to you because, well, you are eternal. You live forever. So to you, it's just, who gives a shit, right? So at the end of the day, that's what time is to the Shadowlands. Macmillan, how you doing, bro? That is what time is in the Shadowlands. It exists. It's there. They just don't care about it. It's like, who gives a shit, right? It's gonna come, it's gonna go. We have eternity for it. So they still know that eons have passed. They know how long. They probably know exactly how much time has passed since Zuval was banished. It's just not important to them when or how long ago he was banished because, well, you know, it's eternal. It's always. Does that make sense?